we on with the Zoom, Johnny?
Sir, yes, sir.
All right, Laura, can you hear us? Unmute yourself. Let me hear you. You can't unmute yourself?
We can unmute now. We're good.
All right, good. Anybody that's on Zoom with us this morning that wants to speak at the public comment period, please unmute yourself, identify yourself, and we'll put you down in order so that you can have your public comment. Anyone? Anyone? Going once, going twice, 3 times. All right. Anyone have signed up in here that needs to speak at the public comment? This is for the public comment.
I
Anybody?
believe
see?
these two guys are on the agenda.
Okay, they're already on the agenda,
And
which will be
Ryan
fine.
Holcomb. Oh, you're with the, okay.
All right. With that, we'll call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 9th to order. If you'll please rise. We'll have an invocation by the city clerk of West Milford, Jeff Barnhart, and we'll have the pledge led by the mayor of West Milford, Todd Summers, and a retired Marine. All right, Jeff.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning. Thank you for this beautiful day that you provide for us. Lord, we just ask that you be with us as we proceed through this commission meeting, and we make the right decisions for our citizens and all of our friends. Lord, we just give you a day of praise and thank you again. Thank you for the veterans who are here today to receive their proclamation and all of their service and gratitude they provided, Lord. And we just ask all this in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Let's do the first item of business. We're going to move up from 11 o'clock, the proclamation for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. That was supposed to be at 10. So without further ado, Jimmy, you want to bring your contingency up here? We'll figure out how to put everybody. I think, Patsy, if we move back and put them in here in front of us, that will do the proclamation.
Come on, guys. Yes.
Mr. Howe, come on up. We'll move these back and everybody can be up here at the top. Patsy, I want you in. No.
Too many people.
You come on. Come on. Joanne C. and Johnny, how's the best way to do your pictures? Probably need to be scoot half in, quarter in. There we go. We'll give you this to. All right. What do you think? We look okay? Good. Susan, come on up here.
Go ahead.
All right. It's Jimmy, it's certainly a pleasure, and today is D-Day for you guys. I know that you started out January of this year, and that there was an article in the newspaper recognizing this being your 100th anniversary. So, but today is the day, December 9th. Without further ado, the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Veterans of Foreign War is a national organization of veterans who, as soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, served this nation in wars, campaigns, and expeditionally on foreign soil or in hostile waters. And whereas 147 Harrison County veterans of the Spanish-American War, veterans of the occupying of the Pacific Forces following that war, and the veterans of World War I assembled Clarksburg on December 9th, 1920, to receive the first VFW chapter in the state of West Virginia. And whereas the post was named in remembrance of Moose and God offensive to commemorate the last decisive battle of World War I, ending in November of 1918. And whereas on December 9th, 2020, the VFW Post 573 is celebrating 100 years of helping veterans, their families, and the community. And whereas VFW Post 573 currently maintains a membership of over 600, continuing to promote patriotism by sponsoring school essays, speech contests, perpetuate the memory of our dead by placing over 1,000 cemetery flags each year for Memorial Day, supports the Harrison County Honor Guard, and continues to honor all veterans by sponsoring Veterans Day programs and parades, and supports honor flights. And whereas VFW Post 573 has continued over the years to support youth athletics, sporting activities as varied from marble shooting contests to basketball, baseball, and youth football, and has supported scouts and also 4-H programs. And whereas in order to maintain the VFW Post 573 programs, the membership has many fundraising activities such as weekly bingo, concerts, poppy drives, elimination dinners, and whereas the VFW Post 573 will continue to provide for veterans, their families, and county youth activities. Now therefore be it resolved, we, the County Commission, call upon all citizens of Harrison County and upon patriots and civil organizations to observe today, Wednesday, December 9th, 2020, as Veterans of Foreign Wars Day. We appreciate with appropriate ceremonies and observance which commemorate past and present veterans who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their country have rendered a dedicated service, and in doing so have established an invincible and enduring reputation in preserving the rights and security for all citizens. Now there be further resolved, we call upon all citizens of Harrison County to observe December 9th, 2020 in honor of veterans who fought through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country, and have become disabled in performance of such duties, and in addition, recognize the pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. It was passed by your County Commission this 9th day of December 2020. With that, we thank you.
Thank you.
Give you some time to have some comments. Jimmy, Paul.
Yeah, Ron, as commander of the VFW Post, would like to thank the County Commission for your support over the years, for helping us fund an emergency roof fix, for the continued support you provide for the Harrison County Honor Guard, and for your support in general and making it easier to survive under these times when hospitality industry is closed. Our ability to get funding is severely restricted. But we also respect your service and the time you've spent helping us, and that goes for all the county commissioners and the officials here in the county. So thank you very much.
Well, we thank you. My glasses was fogging up, so it was hard to read the proclamation. We thank you guys. Go in peace. See you later. Glasses are still fogging up.
Bye, guys. Good ladies.
Okay.
See you guys on Saturday.
All right, thank you. All right, I do have one other recognition. Apparently, the governor has appointed one of our own to serve on the Regional Jail Authority for the state. Let me read the and it's David Hinkle. David, I think you need sworn in, and I'll swear you in after we actually read the from the office of the governor. To whom all these presents shall come gathering, be it known that I, Jim Justice, Governor of the great state of West Virginia, reposing special confidence in the intelligence, integrity, and discretion of the West Virginia Regional Jail and Correctional Facility Authority Board, do in pursuant of authority vested in me by the laws of this state, hereby constitute and proudly appoint the Honorable David L. Hinkle to hold said office and faithfully execute the duties thereof, subject to the conditions prescribed by law. Given under my hand and seal of the state of West Virginia at the Capitol in the city of Charleston, this 4th day of December in the year of our Lord, 2020. David, congratulations on that. I used to serve years ago on that board. Keep our regional jail bill low. In consideration of that, the oath of office and certification, repeat after me. I, David Hinkle,
I, David Hinkle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution for the state of West Virginia,
and the Constitution for the state of West Virginia.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
for the office of
for the office of
West Virginia Regional Jail and Correctional Facilities Authority Board
for the West Virginia Facilities and Correction Board
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, David.
Thank you, Ron.
All right. Moving on, 10 o'clock, we have Todd Summers, the mayor, and Jeff Barnhart, recorder clerk for the town of West Milford. A couple items. One is a water project, loan request of $300,000 interest-free. And the second part of this is a request of assistance with improvements at Park along the West Fork River where the dam was. Guys, if you don't mind, pull up a chair, Mayor. Well, there, Johnny, that's good. Jeff, you can have that chair. Floor's open, and Todd, or you or Jeff can come, and we thank you for being part of the opening today.
Thank you.
And congratulations, Commissioner, on your appointment.
Thank you.
Um,
Good luck.
I provided copies there to you for the cost of the water project, and you'll see there where that total cost is $600,000. What got us into this water project was that our water operator came to us and said, you guys need to do something with the water system, you're having issues. So we did that and appropriately bid it out, and did our interviews. We come across Thrasher's our engineer on the project, and Ryan's with us here today, and I believe Sheena Hunt from Region 6 and Seth is on the Zoom call, but so if there's any questions there, we can ask that. But you see the breakdown there of the cost of our water project, and that total $600,000. We were looking at and also gave you the P&L sheets for our water from year to date, as well as our general budget and our general account P&L from year to date. We've made a lot of progress in the town with 2 sidewalk projects. We've had to replace the gas line to the community building to the tune of $11,000. So we're just getting into this, and then I'll talk about the park improvement here in a moment. back to the water project there, 600,000. And the funding, if we apply for the full amount, will be through USDA RD loan. And we're looking at a 1.86% interest, is that right there? 1.875% interest. And that's a 40-year loan. Which also in turn with our medium household income that's derived from the Census Bureau, we will be required to raise or increase our water rate by 22%. So where we're at right now, that'd be like a $6.80 increase in our water. And so we're trying to keep that as low as possible. And if the commission would oblige and give them an offer at $300,000 at 0% interest, we'd appreciate that too, is to keep our water rate down.
Jeff, let me intervene if I might. Is Region 6 on Zoom?
Let me get it so they can unmute themselves.
Yeah, nobody's touched the water system for like 50 years.
It was 1967 when that system was installed, and we have issues now with valves and everything being tied open with rope. And
All right. Sheila, are you from Region 6? If you unmute yourself and become part of this presentation. It is Sheila, right?
Sheena or Seth?
Don't seem to hear her, Jeff.
Let me see if I can call her real quick.
Don't hear Jeff. How about who else you have here?
Ryan Thrasher is our engineer.
Ryan, you want to just go ahead and give us your snapshot of what we're dealing with here, Ryan?
Sure. So the town is proposing, just as Jeff mentioned, general improvements to the water system, including tank rehabilitation, a radiator read water meter system, and the replacement of some faulty fire hydrants. That's the general scope of the project.
All right. And total amount of the project?
The total project cost is $600,000.
All right. All right. Other questions? Patsy?
Hey Jeff, you guys just smacked it out of the park on Stevens Run Road with $800,000. And is this a situation where we could stretch this money, that if we get $1 million grant with a 20% match, that we could actually get $1 million for them and then ending up with $200,000?
I don't know anything about Stevens Run.
That's Greater Harrison. That's Greater Harrison, Patsy.
We have our own water
Still
system.
contract.
Have a different engineer. It's 800,000 that went straight to Greater Harrison for that. That was a state grant.
Needless there, what if we could get more money for them for more bang for our buck? What I'm saying is with Thrasher, can you work with Thrasher to find out if we can get more bang for our buck?
I don't know, ask them, they're back there.
So the West Milford's water system is operated independently of Greater Harrison's system. So when West Milford goes to USDA asking for, or to the county commission asking for money, that directly affects their customers and not Greater Harrison's customers won't.
Forget about Greater Harrison. I'm just giving that scenario. Is there a way we can take this money and stretch it and get a grant that through, have you tried to get a grant?
There are no grants.
Their percentage of rates versus their MHI is too low to qualify for grant money.
Chad, do you want to explain how that happened?
Yeah, and I was hoping Sheena would jump on there, but,
It was a state grant. Just for
so, just enough to be dangerous on this, so forgive me, but, their rates as a percentage of their MHI, median household income, is too low to qualify for some of the grant opportunities that are available. The one you referenced at Greater Harrison was a result of new legislation that was passed last year, for emergency funds. There are specific criteria, and we had our application in 8 days after the law went into effect, and they couldn't find any reason to deny it. They've since come out with new guidance that I think has been reviewed with this and still doesn't qualify, but you have Sheena on the phone now?
Sheena's on the phone. They said that they can't, they're on the phone, but they can't get to us.
It's that modern technology.
And they can hear us, but they can't talk.
Actually, the money's tied to that grant, that's Greater Harris.
So wouldn't it be better if they became part of something bigger so we qualify for more money? We only want $1 million, we can get it for the same money.
The only way to do that would be if Greater Harrison absorbed the town of West Milford.
But you guys don't want to do that.
No, their rates are higher than what we are, Patsy. Even with our 22% rate increase of $6.80, our rate is still much less than what Greater Harrison is right now.
Okay, then let me ask you this, and I'm on board with this, you know I am when it comes to infrastructure. Have you guys worked out something for me where we get a payment plan?
No, I haven't, I received this information today. That's gonna be the question. So that's, we don't have feedback.
Yeah, I think it's none.
Like you have to,
But-
whatever it is.
but
you
yeah.
pay it back.
I don't know what the terms are on that, but you know, I like to at least go 20 years
And as far as you want, I'm just saying, we gotta get something on paper.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the reason why that is right now, the commission's out right now, $292,000. I spent the last 2 years trying to figure out when we're gonna start getting some of it back from the other PSD.
Yeah.
And I don't mind giving you the money, but somewhere there's gotta be an agreement made.
Yep.
And we don't have an agreement made with some people. Thanks, Ryan.
And-
Pay $10 a month.
Yeah, and here's why is we come asking for the funding and let you set the terms. But even talking with Willie the other day was Zach Dobbins, who's doing our Rule 42 for us. He couldn't proceed along until we knew that we actually had the funding in place and where to go to with that. So, so that was the holdup on that part, I think, is as far as asking Willie for the.
The question being, is, the 300,000 at a 1.87 whatever, that's extremely low interest for 40 years loans. And as you cut that period back, that payment's gonna go up. So the question is, Willie's opinion, they're still gonna have to look at a rate increase if they pay back whoever, whether it's USDA, Harrison County Commission, or whoever. And our payment may be higher than the USDA payment over a 40-year period.
Can you get with these guys, figure out what we're gonna do, find out, let the 3 of us know, do we have the money to get them?
We could pull that from our revolving loan fund because we received the payment back, 230, 250,000 or whatever from Greater Harrison that we upfronted for their project. That's been paid back.
Okay.
What about the other one that was still at 50,000?
No, those haven't been paid back from Short Line or Sun Valley.
Sun Valley.
Mayor, I'm 100% for this, well, trust me, but we've gotta get something on paper. We just can't say.
Yes, I understand 100%.
And we need to make sure he's comfortable with it, because come March, we look up, we check him out pretty good.
So, have you guys been to the state? Borrow money?
We have not. Not to my knowledge.
They have Patsy, water and sewer where you can go to them, and whole money is 1.5%. I'm just, gotcha.
So what they can do now is they can, as Jeff said, they can borrow the entire amount from USDA at 1.875, which is pretty great for 40 years. But it does require a rate increase. And I think your point, Jeff, is to avoid a rate increase, if they were to get a $300,000 interest-free loan, the term would have to be, I think, Willie, quick math, for about 25 years. It would have to be for about 25 years to be able to offset the value of the loan that you would get for 40 years. You know what I mean? So the payment would stay essentially neutral on that. So I think that's the term that you would be looking for. Certainly, we can get together offline and study the financing package.
Yeah, I didn't know what the interest rate was, so I didn't have any numbers.
Yeah, but I just quick in my head, I think it's about 25 years would be
please just spend 1 week with Willie. Let us know something that maybe ask us, we can say, here's exactly what we did. Because again, there's money out there right now, I can't do it. Okay. Okay, and yeah, but you don't take this as a negative, take it as we're trying to manage it.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
David, other comments?
No, I'm looking at your profit and loss for this year, with net income of $4,000. So I'm still trying to figure out how you can do it without raising rates.
I'm not gonna be able to. That's the other thing they told me, you know, we gotta raise that rate to be able to pay the bond council. And,
So they,
yeah.
We haven't raised rates since,
I don't
it's
know.
been a
man.
long time.
And then the other
What's your
issue,
average customer price?
$23 is, I think, something like that's base for first,
2,000 gallons.
2,000, I believe it is.
About a penny a gallon there.
Yeah.
Pretty good, guys.
Yeah, we're, you know, we looked around, in fact, even, and, yeah. And I mean, our rates are the lowest in the county, but, you know, the system's been neglected for so long that we have to do something now. I mean, we're,
And you're telling me, but you're trying to talk about doing meters.
well, the tank is part of it.
Yeah.
The valve of the tank is tied open with a rope.
How many lines do they have running? I don't want to use that word, but is there just clear, asbestos line?
Yes, it consists of asbestos lines, but as far as leaks go, the system's in really good shape.
What is your water loss?
Our water loss is,
6 to 10 typically.
I'll tell you guys right now, figure something out. Find a grant for $1 million, we'll give you 20%. That's how important it is, that's what you're doing with water and sewer. Let's find a way to stretch out time with all. We love it.
Like they said, most grants are going to require a rate increase to get the,
much
as I
higher than,
understand it, a rate increase comparable to the median household income to be eligible for the grants. So they won't give you a grant if they, whoever the lending organization is, if they consider your rates to be too low.
as
They
my
expect
understanding,
you to
we,
have a rate
We
increase.
got low rates, compared to, that's, I know you're talking 22%, $6 a customer.
we have 288 customers on that system, and, you know, like I said, the check valve's tied open with a piece of rope, and trying to upgrade the meters where we don't have to keep a constant, changing those meters out, and,
You got fire hydrants that don't work.
188.
and the fire,
And, I'm gonna take a Greater Harrison surround you.
yeah, Greater Harrison's right below, but, you know, we're fortunate, I guess, to have them right there with us and have a nice working relationship with them. When our need comes, they're there to help us, and
They take care of us all the time. I mean, we've got a key to the shop. If you need anything, you got a leak or something, come down and get stuff. As long as you repay us, that's what we do. We take care of each other.
so it's a blessing to have them. But
Will you be with us?
All right, what's the recommendation on the water project?
Let's just move forward. The county administrator come back to us the 16th, and there's no roadblocks. We just gotta get something you guys are happy with and he's happy with to bring to us. That yes, we can afford it, and yes, we can do this.
Yeah, I think I'd like to know what that actual, if you go outside to get the money, what you actually have to get for an increase.
I can work with these gentlemen and Zach and Thrasher Group. To be able to write numbers fairly quickly.
Thanks, guys.
yeah,
So thank you.
Hang on a
right.
second, we've got a technical difficulty here. I'm trying to find my recorder on my phone because this won't memory. Anybody know where I can find the recorder on my phone?
yeah, video.
Usually under camera or video.
Yeah, that's,
And Willie, you know, I'm adjourned right now.
so here's voicemail.
I have a meeting with Greater Harrison. Well, for the enterprise project, they paid us back. I have a meeting tomorrow with Bill Hoover and Zach Dobbins on the Coons Run in Greater Harrison. So we have a meeting
I'll call you back
tomorrow
later.
at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
You ready to?
I'm ready.
All right. Okay, so we're clear as what the direction's going to be on item 1, the water project from West Town of West Milford. Correct?
Yeah.
Any more discussion that needs to be? Mayor? you
No,
and
we're good.
Jeff, You all have any other comments?
No, not this time. But just other than, our fire hydrants that work in the town and the water right now, like I said, being tied up with a rope. So the water flow is not coming in. So it's preventing even the fire flow in the event if we have a fire in town, that hydrants aren't going to provide the flow necessary.
And you all don't have the money to fix that.
No, sir.
Do we know what that cost is?
Fire hydrants alone,
I mean, just to fix this valve.
so
So
we're
it
gonna,
works right.
yeah, so we're gonna replace the entire valve pit outside of the tank. I'm thinking off the top of my head, that costs us somewhere between $70,000 and $90,000, just off the top of my head, for a new vault, new valves, etc.
So right now your fire hydrants don't work
There's 5 of them that don't.
because of this valve.
No, that's an independent problem with the valve.
But see, the pressure is being held back. The remaining the ones that work, they can't receive the flow.
Explain it.
For clarification, there's a valve inside the pit at the tank that regulates the amount of water coming into the tank and out of the tank based on pressure. That valve is inoperable. So there's a valve that also in there that controls the flow coming in and out. That valve is turned completely open. If that was a completely open valve and there wasn't a valve downstream to regulate the flow, they would blow lines out, they blow fire hydrants out. So in order to do that, there's a gate valve that's downstream of the tank that's throttled back to help regulate the flow and pressure throughout the rest of the system. So there's low flows in some of the hydrants, and then there's also 5 inoperable hydrants as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner. What he's asking me right now is what do we need to do to make sure nobody dies?
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking right now. We understand the $600,000 project, but what do we need right now? We need $20,000 to make sure these hydrants, when the fireman goes to the scene, have water.
What's it take to fix it to the fire? Understood. That's what we want to know.
Okay. Yeah.
We would like
Like
that done.
today.
We would like that done yesterday.
Sure.
Please.
That we don't have an issue. I don't think anybody said
No.
that there has an issue. If that's an issue, then we want to address that as possible.
Matter of fact, Julie, if you can find that out fast. Because that scares me. Okay.
And while they're finding that out, if that's, if you don't have an issue, then I just like to go ahead and make a motion that whatever the repairs is, not to exceed 75,000. But you guys authorized to go ahead and do that. We'll work out the thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
All right.
Please.
Any further discussion? Comments from the town?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Those numbers will be part of next week's meeting also.
Yeah, if we have them ahead of time, we'll go ahead and
Okay.
start the process and issue that payment, but we'll have
Alright.
the numbers for next week also.
So listen, Mr. Thrasher, just because he said 75 doesn't mean you gotta go to the line.
No problem. No problem.
Just get on it, because I don't want anybody sitting around not being able to not have water for.
For emergency, yeah. All right. Item number 2 is requesting assistance with improvements at the park along the river there where the dam used to be contiguous with.
We've acquired the house that was down there at the dam area, and we're in the midst of getting estimates and everything to get it tore down. And it was full of vermin. It was in very, very bad shape. We have to get an exterminator to come in before we can even get the asbestos taken out of the place.
Wow.
Because the guy went and checked it, and he come out of that house and he was not going back in. He had to take his clothes off before he got in his car. He had so many police and stuff on it. I mean, it was bad. But what we're going to do is try to tear that down, and because we already have the park down there as it is, but we're going to expand it, put a basketball court, put a pavilion down there, someplace where people can come and sit and hang out, and put picnic tables around there so they can have picnics and stuff, because it's a really nice area down there if you ever get out and look at it. And what we're looking for is trying to get some money to, and we're going to put, AARP has grants for exercise equipment at a zero repay, and we're going to try to get some money off of them for the exercise equipment and stuff. But we're just trying to get that place straightened up, cleaned up, and a place for people to hang out.
Mayor, do you have access to launch small crafts?
Yes. Down there, if you'll see 3, it goes right down into the water.
I see number 3. I didn't know.
Because that's going to be part of the trail, the water trail coming down through. Everybody that starts it, you can start as far as Stonewall Jackson Dam, come all the way down through
The water trail.
the water trail.
And even the Float the Fork, the festival out there through the Guardians that started Good Hope, they put a nice concrete ramp in there behind the Good Hope Mini Mart there in the river for access in. But that's a nice float. That's about a 3-hour float downstream to West Milford, a nice pull out, or even a nice put in. They can float to Clarksburg or Shenton or Worthington, however far they want to go. But that's a nice entry point and an exit point.
All right.
And we're planning on having restrooms down there. And so if anybody does come down that trail, they can stop and hang out or use the restroom or whatever they need to do.
Mayor, what kind of price tag do you have on the total?
I have it. I'm sorry, I have it right here.
Our total price tag, we're looking at $247,900.
All right.
That should cover everything on the project.
All right. Let's have some comments from our lead commissioner on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Patsy.
Same thing we did with the other parks, Wilmington, within the levy has certain needs. You can get money from the state up to $5,000, just like you get money from the other up to $20,000. I don't care if you guys use $20,000 of levy money to make a nice park. I know, I think it'd be great. And if you do go get a loan for that, you have your 20% down. Use it however you want to. If the other commissioners are okay with that, we just did it walls, we just did it at another part. Right now, for what Chuck Over said, we need to park recreation equipment and have fun.
Is that a grant, Patsy, or from the state? What is it? Is it strictly a loan through the state, or that funding that you mentioned beginning through the state? Is that?
No, that's your.
You can,
You pay for that to 11.
there's a
Oh,
land and water conservation funds. I don't know if you've explored that.
I'm not aware of it.
Okay, we can have Ms. Jones in our grant department get with you on the land and water conservation funds. That's a 50-50 match. It's a grant with a 50-50 match. Yeah, that's one area we can take a look at. I don't know what the deadlines are or submission. I know it's very competitive. That's one thing we can take a look at there. And then we can work with her department and Parks and Recreation to see what other opportunities are out there. But I know Land and Water Conservation Funds is a grant 50-50 situation.
With a 50-50 match, guys, if we set up what we can without using the levy, did you guys cover your half of the 50?
We wouldn't be able to afford the 100,000.
No, with the 100, if it's 50-50, you got 200,000.
So we'd still be 100,000.
So if we put up,
If the overall project in round numbers was 250, it'd be 125 match that would be required from somewhere as the 50%, however that's split, if we got water and conservation funds.
There's no way we'd be able to afford that.
Yeah, there's,
Well, let me ask you guys this, Mayor. I'm assuming you can do it in stages. All of this doesn't have to be
No,
done
it's right.
comprehensive at one
Right.
time. You can
Yeah.
have a phase 1, a phase 2,
We're just working at tear down right now. That's going,
whatever. So
I think right now, even the pavilion would be the greatest asset right now for people coming in and off the river.
well, probably your tear down and clearing the property would be number one,
But
wouldn't it?
yeah, yes.
and we're
I
talking
mean,
about
you gotta get the
40,000 to
property
do that.
ready. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's one way, Patsy, to look at it is from priorities.
Yeah, what's the clearing when you're, is it just overgrade or?
No, it's a 2-story, almost a 2.5-story structure.
Yeah, it's that old
So-
house right on the corner.
So I'm looking at your general where you had mobilization of 15, clearing for up to 1,500.
We can do most of the clearing and grooming ourselves with our people we have
But
in
the,
volunteers.
the extermination right now is out for bid. The asbestos removal is out for bid. I know we've got one bid, but it's about 8,000. And then we have to look at the demolition cost of the structure.
That's what it's gonna be. Well, demolition on, I don't know how big the house is.
It's a big one.
Probably gonna run 20 grand a piece.
Yeah.
Got asbestos.
Probably does.
The parking lot, do you have to go asphalt?
We don't have to go asphalt this
It's
time. It'd be
gravel right
nice.
now.
Yeah, it's gravel now. It'd be nice in the future sometime down the line.
I'd rather see you get a basketball court than a parking lot.
That's true too. It'd be nice to have some place for the kids to hang out and do stuff. Get them out of the house.
Yeah, because the high school, you may be familiar with what's going on over there with the Board of Education moving Lost Creek in and annexing over there. They're losing the outdoor basketball court there.
Yeah.
That's getting ready to come out. Matter of fact, it may be this week.
For the new school,
Yeah.
For the new 6 rooms, yeah.
6 rooms, okay.
Yeah.
The elementary portion.
Yeah.
I think you talk to the friends of Park about basketball court.
That's another funding source,
It is, and it's a great idea. So we'll be looking to help you. Is there any way you're gonna be able to have money at the next fiscal year to support this?
We can look at it and take a look at our
We can budget and see what we can get budgeted in to get things taken care of.
You know, that was not till June. We'll start working on it in April, but
Yeah, we're on.
I mean, I see it as a potentially 2 or 3 year project.
Yeah,
To walk
yeah.
it in.
Yeah.
Try to keep getting grants and everything. If we can get the grants and make the match, then that's just, it's simpler than us just trying to
sure.
justify $247,000 cost.
Yeah.
Even though I know Thrasher's been the CPI.
We want to make sure they get enough money to do that.
I know, Jay.
And that thing can be, obviously, as you said, there's all sorts of creative ways.
Yeah.
You can do it in stages, you can get something going, and we'll definitely work with them.
So I think it's a good idea. I like the spot. I like that you got the river, so. So I think it's a win-win for the city and the county.
And if you do it that way, I mean, that'd be an arm with our money.
Yeah, so I mean, give us a chance. You guys need to work with our grant people to see what's out there and work with Thrasher. They're good at grants. And see what we can do for this park. Try to get it to where it don't have much cost.
It'd be great.
Can you get us a price on the demo?
That's what
Yes.
we're working on. We got bids out right now for old demo and trying to get a price on it.
Would you talk to Willie, he has a guy? Please,
We'll get you the name of somebody that's been very.
very.
All right, where are we at?
Great job, guys. I'm glad to see you
I love it.
taking care of the city.
You know, we're trying to do something, anything we can to help people, the community in the southern Harrison County.
I appreciate it.
Mayor
Appreciate you.
and Jeff, let me just say that this is still a live issue. It's still on the table. So as you come back with more and more parts to the overall project, bring them on. I think you can see we certainly would try to help with the demolition and getting the property ready for whatever your next phase is.
Yeah, I think demo is the
Your
next
engineer
one.
can help you with
Yeah, the demo's the next big thing. Just gotta get that,
That's right.
get it all cleared off and start working.
Find out who did Freddie West's house there on the corner. Maybe they could go right on down the street.
Wayne Huffman.
All right?
There's guys out there that there's a pretty cheap. We got somebody at the airport, did the whole airport for $18,000.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, there's a lot of people out there that will do things that.
Will, do you have that information, their contact?
Yeah, we will get that to you. I don't have it off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up and get it to you.
Call you tomorrow?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Or send me an email.
All right.
Sometimes that's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir, appreciate you.
All right, 10:30, we have hearings for delinquent or unprogressed estates. Susan, what do we have here?
I'm not sure who's here, but I would say there are some people here for some of the estates.
Susan, is this the same one as we've had before where they received a letter that it's going to be a public hearing, this, that, and the other on estates?
They're old estates that nobody has, they haven't completed.
Okay,
And we are able to administratively close those. If nobody responds, if they don't respond, you all can administratively close those. But I think there's some people here, whether they don't know why they're here or not. That's
Okay.
possible too.
how many?
And I mean no disrespect in that comment.
Let's do this because maybe a broad statement might clarify for most of you all here on the estates. Johnny,
Does
if you don't mind,
anybody-
shut that
can
door
I-
so that
yeah.
music doesn't play. All right, one more time, Susan's going to give a statement as to why you got the letter, what it means if you don't show up. If you're satisfied the way it is and you're not contesting it, then in fact, you don't have to do anything. We will administratively close the estate. Is that correct, Susan? Go ahead, Susan, and clarify that for her.
If you don't have any objection to the commission administratively closing the estates, they will sign that and you won't have to do anything. It'll be over, the estate will be closed. But if you want, for any reason, you need the estate to stay open, you need to speak up and let us know, and we will continue leaving the estate open.
But if I don't mind, how about a show of hands of anybody that needs their estate to stay open? Okay, we have 3. Those that don't need their estate to stay open, how many of you are there? We have 3. So for you 3, if you are satisfied with us closing the estate, you don't have to do a thing. You're welcome to depart or stay for the rest of the meeting.
And thank you. Yeah, if you don't mind, at least telling me who it is. Okay.
Mr. President, in your agenda, we do have correspondence related to the estate of Patricia Oliverio. One of the creditors of the estate is requesting that estate remain open until the debt has been paid.
We
Okay,
have several from Davis Funeral Home that
Okay.
have requested
That's
that.
the one that's the only one I had.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, thank you. All right, do we want to take the Oliverio first? Willie, Susan?
There's an objection been filed. I don't think it takes any action just to leave it open.
Right.
So there's an objection been filed to closing the estate, so that one will remain open.
All right,
And I think Ms. Thomas said she may have had others that fall.
I mean, there is documentation for them to sign, but I will probably just leave all of this.
Yeah.
That one.
all right. Anybody here present representing the Oliverio? Hearing none, that will do. I need a motion to continue the Oliverio estate to stay open.
That's all the motion to keep open.
Yep. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Can we do the ones we received from the funeral?
Okay. This is from Davis Funeral Home.
Yes. Janie, I'm just gonna spell the last name, F-E-I-T. Aubrey Arnett, Randy Lockwood, John Lowe, Elaine Post, and that is all.
All right, for those individuals, is there anyone here representing any of those individuals that Susan just read? Hearing none, how about on the Zoom? Is there anyone on Zoom? If there is, unmute yourself and identify yourself and which estate you're talking. All right, hearing none. So on the funeral home, I think there's 4 of them, Susan? 4 or 5?
No idea.
Need a motion for those estates to stay open.
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. How about another one?
And we have several, that it appears, other than I don't know what estate these gentlemen are here for, that will need, motion will be made to close those. And you just-
We have some back room coming out. No.
watch.
Water.
Uh-huh.
That's water.
Oh, that's water. Thank you. Oh, next door. Fine, fancy. All right. Who do we have, Susan?
There are several on these lists that we have that to close that nobody responded to the notices or the letters that can,
Okay.
you guys can administratively close, other than I don't know if they are on this list.
Mr. President, you probably have to ask if there's people in attendance here and what estate they're representing.
All right, let's start right behind you, Willie. If you don't mind, sir, come on up. Have a seat, identify yourself for the record
Are you
and
all
which
together?
estate you're talking.
Okay.
My name is David Arnett. I'm representing my mother's estate, Barbara Arnett,
Okay,
and my sister is the executor,
okay,
Veronica Arnett. I was in Colorado, and when all this happened, but she let my niece, Velda Nicole, live there free for a year in the house, and the deal was that they were supposed to fix the house up for the rent, and then we were supposed to sell it. Well, when we got the house back, they punched holes in every wall. They replaced the water tank. I had to spend over $1,500 just to get the water turned on. I had to pay a gas bill of $1,000. And that's why I want to leave it open so we have time to make repairs. And plus, me and my brother, since that's my brother back here, we own a third and he owns a third. We're going together and buy my sister out, and we're going to own the house. We're going to have the house put in our name.
all right, let me ask you, are you in discussion now with your sister who's the executor?
Yeah, we already made an agreement.
Okay, so we'll just, you're requesting that we just leave it open.
Yes, so we have time to get the agreement and
All
the
right,
contract written up and
Okay.
everything filed with the court.
all right. What's the pleasure of the commission?
Keep it up.
All right, we have a motion to keep it open. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. It's still open. Let's hope that you and the family can get together and resolve the estate.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
I'm Earl Frazier, and I got 2 of them. One is Mike Frazier. I was the executive of the thing. I filed the thing downstairs, but that must have been not what I was supposed to do, or finished it off or something. And then my dad, Earl Frazier, and my sister and brothers had it, and he had loans and stuff, and my one brother's been paying them, but they ain't got it figured out. I like to leave it open till they get.
Okay, are you the executor or anything over,
I am on Mike's, but not my dad's.
but not your dad's?
Yeah,
You're from Mount Clair?
yeah.
Okay, I knew Earl. So are you guys working together to
Mhm.
try to resolve the
Yeah,
issue?
my brother got in a wreck and he was messed up for a couple of years, and him and my sister are the head of it.
All right, well, the sooner you guys can get together and resolve it, you can come back and ask for it closed. I think they have a final document or something, Susan, don't they?
I don't know what the
What,
status
where
of
it
that
is,
state
but,
is.
yeah, but there is a way of dissolving that so that it can be officially closed. So with that, motion,
Motion to keep it open.
any further discussion? Hear none, all in favor, say aye.
You want both the states left.
That would be both.
Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
next. No, at two. So what's happening at Sandy? You still got your doors open, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Identify yourself for the record and where we're at.
Yeah, I'm Paul Christopher, representing Sandy's Hardware. I got a letter on the estate of Sam Anthony Mason. I'm probably a creditor on that account. I'd like to see it stay open. Maybe they could get the account paid.
All right. And the estate is Mason,
Sam Anthony Mason.
okay? Gotcha. All right. Pleasure to commission. Motion to keep it open.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Any further discussion? That's it.
I'd like to run.
Hey, have a good one.
Okay. How you doing, Patsy?
All right. Any other unprogressed estates or hearings on delinquency? Okay.
These are all the ones that didn't.
So we
respond
just
long
need to
ago.
sign off, Susan. You got those boxes of whatever we need to sign.
Well, this is what- I mean, we'll have to revise those.
All right.
Well, could we coordinate this with planning to see if these are any of the properties that we're doing our best to clean up? And
All right.
because, we're just moving it forward because the goodness of our hearts. At the same time, if it's part of the county planning effort, then I'm not going to be as lenient because I don't want it. This may be our opportunity to get it cleaned up and get it sold. See what I'm saying? We've got to coordinate the clerk's office with the planning's office on these from this point on.
We can do that, not a problem.
That may change our leniency.
All right. I was going to make some comment, Patsy, but
Go ahead.
my comment was one of our commissioners, wasn't you and I, but one of our commissioners took a drive this past weekend and came by my way. And apparently they weren't pleased with what they seen on my road. So if you get a chance, you may want to go that way too. I won't say anymore. You want to say anything, David? No. World War III. And there was
a lot of places around the world. They're giving them a run for their money.
And I think we've got a few of them, Willie, that's to show cause or maybe we're in the legal ramification, but it is massive. Massive. Okay. Couldn't agree with you more, David. All right. One with new business, public comment period. We've already had that.
Mr. President, probably
Actually, we haven't had public comment period, Mr. Parker.
probably be appropriate to make a motion to close the delinquent or unprogressed estates, except for the exceptions that were noted.
Okay.
As that.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right. Does that officially take care of that, Susan, for you? All right. Public comment period. We have none from Zoom, and there's no one in here on public comment. Moving on, consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item number 3 is the number of payroll changes. And I see Mr. Copenhaver and Mr. Bumpy Bump there. Looks like these are your all's.
We have, Mr. President and Commissioners, we have, the first one is a new hire in the tax office. The others relate to our 911 center. We have a retirement, a resignation retirement from an employee. And then the remaining ones for the 911 center relate to the staffing plan that Mr. Bump and Mr. Copenhaver reviewed with the commission a few weeks back and implementing that staffing plan.
All right, and if I'm not mistaken, Paul, the way that 911 is set up, it's promotional opportunities, it's not open to the general public. The general public comes in at the base level, which would be a telecommunicator training, and then move up from there.
And that's our next step, yes.
Okay. How many trainee positions do you have?
5 right now.
So you'll have 5 to keep the level that you currently have for staff.
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you going out for advertising?
We are actually in the home stretch, hopefully, of a current hiring phase. We are assembling the online testing, the assessments due to the COVID situation. We're doing our testing remotely, and once we have those compiled, we'll be calling them to arrange in-person interviews.
And all that started from an advertisement that we have positions of.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the commission on payroll change notices?
Let me ask you, Heather Flynn, she was the young lady that we, for better words, help me.
Yeah,
reprimanded.
Right.
Now, was she a sergeant before?
She was a sergeant. You guys, or we demoted her to corporal, and this brings her back up to sergeant.
Now, I'm assuming that her level of productivity then met the guidelines of acceptable or above acceptable. So the improvement plan has been finished.
If she didn't get in trouble, would she have moved up to lieutenant?
Quite possibly, yes.
And we did this not on a merit system, but next man up, right?
It was a combination of both seniority and merit based.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, Pat?
Thank you.
All right. Motion to approve payroll change notice.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
I got
Sorry.
it. I got it.
All right. Exonerations, corrective tickets, joint property applications.
Everybody here, willing
To explain the 63,000,
Yeah.
we can call down and have someone come up. I don't remember the explanation, but well, yeah, someone from Rocky's off, give Rocky a call.
I'd like to understand that better.
All right, let's defer item 4 until you get further explanation. Item 5 is consolidation of land, segregation of land.
We have none.
Item 6 is consideration of approval of project fund requisition. Do we have any?
We do have for the Charles Point project 2 requisitions. The first one is in the amount of $1,055,091.53, and that's payments to Wolf Excavating, Bear Contracting, and Civil and Environmental Consultants. And the remaining requisition is a payment to Genesis Partners as management of the project in the amount of $52,754.58. So you have 2 requisitions for approval.
All right. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Hey, Ron, stop for 1 second real quick.
All right, we're stopped.
Let me say one thing real quick. These recommendations that were approved by you guys today, but from this point on, Heather has a clean slate. She's done her.
Yes.
And so she's not gonna be held back because she did something. And she took her medicine and now she's clean. I'm not sure why she didn't move up, but It's between you guys, and I take your recommendation, but no one, this young lady's clean with the commission.
Yeah, I don't know whether you all have her starting at a sergeant again.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's part of the penalty, I would think, that accepted.
I
Yeah.
agree with you, and I agree with that, but from this point
Good.
on, she is,
That's no longer.
That's correct.
okay.
She's
Done your
been-
time.
She's been reinstated to her previous pay grade +1 because she was due for a step increase around that time also.
Okay.
Now, let me ask, that what she did say happened, does the ninth phone now roll over the eighth phone?
We're in the
roll over?
process of getting that worked out front here now.
And I also think we need to talk about the concept of capacity.
Okay,
We have a number of lines, and given the randomness of life, it could come an incident where all the lines are tied up. We could have 10 available 911 lines, and we would get the 11th consecutive call. So we really do need to consider capacity when we discuss this also.
and Jim, we'll talk about this some more in a little bit, but remember, just like David and I and Ron made it clear, we don't want a fire hydrant on good water.
Right.
We don't want somebody call you.
And I have a way in,
They
right.
need assistance they deserve.
Right, I agree completely. One of the things that we're also doing is reaching out to our frontier service managers, our 911 service managers. We're trying to get what's called a busy report. How
Okay.
many times during calendar year 2020 or the last year or 2 years, how many times have all of our 911 lines busied out?
Demonstrate the real issue instead of
Okay.
A single
good.
thing.
All right. Item 6, Mr. Parker or Susan, did we vote on that one?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Item 7 is consideration approval of project fund requisition for payment of any costs associated with TSA building project.
We have none,
Finance.
Mr. President.
Pardon?
We have none for that item.
Okay. Item 8, review, discuss, and consider resolution accepting West Virginia Courthouse Facilities Improvement Funds, adopting all understandings contained in the grant document, committing funds to a project appointing the president of the Harrison County Commission to administer said program. Mr. Parker.
This is a receipt or accepting the funds allocated by the Courthouse Facilities Improvement Authority in the amount of $56,000 with a 20% match required for that, for replacement of certain parts or part of courthouse windows that have a window air conditioner in them. So it's removing those and replacing with the window in that area. So
All right. So, Mr. Parker, we need a resolution accepting the money.
yes, resolution accepting money requiring the president's signature.
All right, what's the pleasure?
Motion carried.
All in favor, say aye. I do know over the years, that fund has not been funded by the legislature according to the way it was in previous years. So the numbers that you can actually apply for a grant is a heck of a lot less than 150,000 when we first started. All right, we do have someone here from the assessor's office. Alan,
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Hinkle may have some questions.
I just think you guys explained the $63,000 question.
That was, that's the Palace Furniture Building down here. It's a low-income housing tax credit building. And they had appealed that, if you recall, to the board of review in February, and he finally got the information to us. And we went ahead and wrote the exoneration.
And so the assessed value now for that building is $634.
Yes, that's correct.
So we lost the $2 million in assessed value.
Well, those buildings, there's strict guidelines that we have to go by to appraise those. So the system we use in the assessor's office is based on cost. Those buildings have to be appraised based on the income. They're income restricted because it's a low income housing tax credit building. And that's not the only one we have. We have 4 of those other
So even the big one that's being built over and.
Yes,
I know it's gonna be the same. as
It'll be the same,
$4
right.
million cost, it's not gonna be valued at that.
That's correct.
That's kind of aggressive values. Okay, if it's law, that's just a nice. But the thing for the owner, well, it's great for the owner, it's bad for us. I'm gonna write a check for $63,000. Yeah.
The way the law set up, when it was empty and vacant and dilapidated, we were doing work more the way the law set up.
Yeah. The worst thing that happened.
The worst thing happened, that's the people got a nice place to live.
Right.
Okay, just trying to grasp how we went.
Sure.
Any other questions of Alan? And,
No.
all right,
So
so
2 million's a big swing.
It sure
We don't
is.
See that very often.
Right.
all right.
Appreciate you coming up. and
But the reason why we have it now is because, back in February, he did apply for the hearing. And, we laid it over to October at that point because he didn't have the information for the prior year. And then he did finally provide that information. That's why we had to write the exoneration.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, on item 4, what's the pleasure? Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Any further discussion? Here none, all in favor, say aye. All right. We took care of item 8, Mr. Parker.
Yes.
Okay. Item 9, review, discuss, consider second amendment to forbearance agreement, Charles Point Enhancement District and Enhancement District relocation of assets. Mr. Parker.
Mr. Amon presented this, or sent forth this document earlier this week or last week. Excuse me. And it relates to residential properties for development by Dan Ryan Builders or other builders, as outlined in the agreement, that it continues the forbearance on the property tax as it relates to those to allow for development of those residential lots.
All right. Mr. Amon, I see that you're on Zoom. If you want to mute yourself, we'll give you an opportunity to add anything that you would like to add at this time.
Thank you. Hopefully you all can hear me there. Willie, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Tom Amon with Steptoe and Johnson, representing the County Commission with respect to Charles Point bonds and CED assessments. So you'll recall in March of this year, the Commission approved an agreement. It was prepared by the trustees' attorney with respect to CED assessments to continue the forbearance on enforcement of collections of the CED assessments for another year. That was the 2019 tax year. Then in June of this year, the CED board met, and pursuant to the agreement, again, it only extended through 19. So then we were in the 20 tax year. CED board approves the collection of the 2020 assessments, which at this point includes tax years 2017 through 20. Genesis is in the process of developing 3 parent tracts in the South Land Bay for residential development, pursuant to an existing contract with Dan Ryan Builders, where they agreed to take to acquire a certain number of parcels quarterly throughout the year, and in order to facilitate those property transfers and the building of homes on those sites, need to be able to provide clear title to Dan Ryan. And so the trustees for the bonds, the 2008 bonds, have agreed to continue the forbearance for the 2020 tax year, but in this case, only with respect to those 3 tracts that are the subject of the ongoing residential development. The remainder of the assessments will be addressed at a later date. I think probably once the Menard site is delivered and accepted by Menard, and so we'll save that for another day. But again, this would facilitate that residential development by Dan Ryan Builders.
All right, questions? Patsy?
No.
Tom, if we don't agree to this, what's the outcome?
In all likelihood, Genesis would not be able to then transfer the properties to Dan Ryan, and you wouldn't see additional homes and townhomes being built over in that South Land Bank pursuant to that arrangement.
So basically, this is just kicking the taxes down the road on that land.
Not the property taxes. The CED assessments, and it is so the property taxes will still be paid. It's just the CED assessments, which are tied directly to the bonds. But this is part of an overall process with the bondholders. You know, there are other discussions and considerations in place to have a more global solution with respect to the assessments and those bonds. But this is a step in that process.
Would a better step been in the process, and I'll just use the villages as an example, the developer, with every lot and house that's built, you end up taking a percentage of that bond on your house and you have to pay that off. And the process is that owner is then responsible for a portion of the bond.
Well, the concept is that once a purchaser, if you want to call it a homeowner, really any purchaser in the South Land Bay, which is subject to these assessments, if they purchase a property and then build on it in accordance with the master plan for Charles Point, there are enough property taxes such that the CED assessments will no longer be payable. So, you know, when they sell a property, you know, they want to be able to tell the buyer that, you know, once you build, or if you're buying a built structure, you're not going to have to pay assessments. And that's how they were, you know, they were structured around that idea that really the undeveloped property, which is owned by the developer and its affiliates, is really the entity that needs to bear the burden of paying the assessments, not purchasers who buy completed structures or who actually build in accordance with the plan. Because at that point, those properties are generating property taxes, not payable by the developer. So you're diversifying your risk at that point. And ultimately, the idea is the bonds are repaid from the property taxes and not the assessments.
What about the tip dollars, Tommy?
Yes. So when these properties are the ones that we're talking about, Dan Ryan builds, then that construction is then picked up on the assessment rolls on the next July 1, and property taxes start to become payable, and then that generates increment, which then go toward repaying the bonds. And that's really what the bondholders want, which is why they continue the forbearance arrangement to allow the development to occur.
I mean, they're not getting enough TIF revenue with all the construction up there to pay their own bonds?
So the parcels that are getting that are having improvements built on them, yes, those improvements will then be such that they shouldn't have to pay any more assessments. And this particular agreement that is under consideration would provide that once you have a certificate of occupancy for a completed home or townhome, then the trustee would give a full release of the assessment, so that those property owners then wouldn't have to worry about having an assessment hanging over them. Again, the idea is to get the property on the property tax rolls and paying property taxes to facilitate development and not have the assessments inhibiting the developer from being able to market and sell property.
Isn't that what the TIF's for, to encourage development? Are we, Sheriff Matheny, are you on there? Sheriff?
Yeah, I'm here, Patsy.
On the same conversation, I mean, I feel like me and you are in deja vu right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tommy.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
All right.
Move to approve.
All right. Any further discussions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Item 10 is review, discuss, and consider Motorola's solution dispatch console proposal for the E911 center. Mr. Parker, bring us up to date from last meeting.
This was the proposal that was presented at the last meeting. Mr. Bump and I have been reviewing this. It's still our recommendation to proceed as outlined. The total price, if I remember correctly, is $195,000. And it's my opinion this would be eligible for CARES Act funding reimbursement. Excuse me. And the need relates to additional, I think it's 5 people that will be training, and then need to have additional spots for training, as well as then future dispatch capabilities.
And the initial funds would be come out of?
The initial funds, depending on how the commission would proceed, I'd recommend we use our COVID funds that we have in place right now, and then supplement that with levy funds, and then reimburse from the CARES Act funding.
All right.
Because those funds must be spent by the end of the month or must be returned.
All right. Discussions. Patsy?
None.
David?
Well, what's the requirement for COVID grant?
Has to be related to additional expense related to COVID conditions, such as PPE equipment, equipment required for responding to COVID situations, additional expense for personnel related to COVID, social distancing requirements and structures, modifications such as that are eligible, to my understanding.
But we don't know if we're gonna get the grant.
It's a matter of reimbursement. I see no reason why it would not be reimbursed, to my understanding of the.
How long does it take to process the grant?
The reimbursement will be submitted first part of next year for reimbursement based on the expenditures in December.
And so all we have to do is give them an invoice from Motorola, or we have to show it's paid?
It has to be paid. Has to be paid. The equipment doesn't need to be installed, but the equipment has to be paid for.
Motorola take the equipment back if we don't get the grant?
Motorola expenses is largely software and licensing. So there's 5 small boxes about yay big, and they just won't deliver if we don't fix that.
Just trying to figure out here, if we don't get the grant, can we get our money back?
I think that time you've entered into an agreement with Motorola. I don't think we would be eligible for that.
So where do we stand on the money from cities
Jim prepared all that paperwork last week. I'm in the process of getting it out to them this week.
Was the sheriff department part of that payment?
I think that just came, I mean, they've got some chunk in it, but I don't know if you'd write a check to general from general for that, or how that would work.
Mr. Parker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the sheriff's department had some of that funding, but it would be covered under the county commission's funding. I see no reason to move money from one pocket to the other pocket as it relates to that for the sheriff's department.
Ron, you got any questions?
No. Patsy,
No, sir.
further questions, David?
No, I just, like I said, my question is whether or not we don't get the funding that we have to keep the product. I don't think anybody can give me that answer.
My answer, as I understand, would be yes.
We can return it,
No, we would have to keep it.
we would have to keep it. How much was left in the 100,000 the governor gave us? Is that what you're talking about using, or? some
Yes.
funds?
Using that and then submitting the balance for reimbursement through the state.
So you're gonna only ask for the difference between the 100 and the,
Yes, we'll be sending a request for 95,000 for reimbursement.
So there's only 5,000 in that account? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's 100,000, but
thing's 195,000.
195,000, and we'll be requesting a 95,000 reimbursement
Okay,
through the state.
okay. So out of that fund, there'll be a balance of $5,000 left.
No, there'll be no money left in that fund. We will drain the $100,000 out of that fund, and then request the reimbursement of 95 for the total of 195.
All right. Further questions, Patsy? David?
Have you talked to Taylor County about any of this?
Haven't had many meetings with them yet, no. That's on our agenda with the next advisory board. When I have a chance to talk to the commissioner over there.
When's your next advisory board?
Next week, I think.
16th. When's our next meeting?
16.
I'll try to home before that.
I was gonna say, Paul, you don't have to wait for a
Yeah, I know.
meeting. You know, I mean, you got emails, you got telephones.
The advisory board meeting is on the 15th at 2 p.m.
It's next Tuesday. All right, David, come up with something.
I want to postpone this decision to the next meeting, and let you guys talk to Taylor County, see if they got any of
All right,
their money from the governor left and willing to put some of it in towards it.
motion to till next week on this. That's it.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, item 11, review, discuss, consider proposals for construction quality assurance and testing services. We have 3 companies here. Is anybody here representing Tridad?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. President.
Okay, how about anybody on Zoom representing Triad? You are, unmute yourself and identify yourself. If not, Mr. Parker, the other 2 do have representatives here. Tell us what we got with all 3 of them, and starting with Triad, I reckon.
All 3 firms had the scope of work and bid on the scope of work as presented and have submitted proposals last week for initial review. We did follow up with additional information requested from Thrasher and CEC on related to qualifications of personnel that would be assigned to the project. We've received those documents. I did forward those to the commission. I don't know if you had a chance to review, but it would appear both of the in-county firms have the capabilities and personnel to do the project as outlined. The initial proposal from CEC was slightly higher than Thrasher. I included that one in your agenda. The CEC did submit another proposal the following day, which is slightly lower than Thrasher. I did not include that for consideration. That's a commission decision, but I didn't think that was appropriate after the numbers were made public, that unless we would go out to, to all firms to resubmit. So qualification wise, I think, and price wise, we're very similar price wise. Thrasher is slightly lower. I think it's $10 a day or thereabouts, $10, $12 a day. So it's for the commission's consideration at this point.
All right.
CEC has done more work on that site, but that's not necessarily, but they have been involved in site survey and work and core borings and such. So they have more knowledge now immediately than Thrasher does of the site conditions, but this relates to the building.
All right, and appreciate being transparent and consistent there. And with all due respect to CEC, I read that email and I thought, well, wait a minute, are we giving everybody a fair equal shot on that? So, all right. Anything else, Mr. Parker? But, we got both of our hometown agencies here. So why don't we give you an opportunity for last comments or whatever from your all's presentation and bid that you did in. Ryan, we'll go with you first, if you don't mind. Just floor's open.
Here or there.
Anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the opportunity to submit the proposal. Obviously, we're interested. We've done work in the area. We're interested in being a part of the community and being involved in this project. It's a neat project for all the citizens of Harrison County. With staff here in the area and our office here in the area, we feel like we have a lot of value that we bring, and we'd love to continue to work with you on that.
Any questions of Ryan? Patsy? Dave? Hearing none, let's go to what's left on the board is Thrasher. Mr. Riley.
Yes, thanks, commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to be considered for the project. I think that obviously, this is something here in our community that's, I think we submitted very favorable pricing for the commission. We're well qualified to do it. We have our own materials testing lab that has both CCL, which is concrete based, and AASHTO, which is all things, including aggregates, laboratory right here in Bridgeport. We have submitted personnel who have specific certifications for concrete, aggregate, steel, and so I think we're well qualified to do it. And I've brought Clayton White with me. Clayton runs our construction services group, and so he's responsible for this group, and I'll just let him say a word.
Sure. Well, thank you, Commissioner, for allowing us the opportunity to come speak to you. As you'll see in the qualification package, my history has been general contracting prior to coming to Thrasher and moving home to West Virginia, and multi-story, multi-million-dollar projects. And so I've seen a need for an investment in the qualifications necessary for buildings, not necessarily just the dirt, because once you get out of that, there's a lot of intricacies that need qualified personnel. And I think you'll see that we demonstrate that very well with our ICC qualifications and our certified welding inspectors. So I do appreciate the opportunity again, and do think that we provided some pretty competitive pricing for you to consider.
All right, thank you. Patsy, any questions, comments of the Thrasher group?
No, other than I want Chad and Ryan to know. All that mattered to me with this, I'll be honest with you, that Lee County didn't get it. I see you two and I can't separate it in my mind. That's why last week I asked Willie, so in clear conscience, I had no clue your numbers. I didn't want to know them. So I could say to Willie, whoever the lowest was, and now I do know. And it believe me, Chad, I'd be apologizing to you instead of him if your numbers were lower, and I would have a clear conscience about it. I love that both of you are on the 279 and represent Harrison County, and that you're 5 stars, both of you to me. And my battle is to make sure it's, in my mind, Harrison County, not between the two of you. So apologies if they vote to take him, then I won't be sad. But I just want you to know, last Wednesday, when we really started to do math, I wanted that done so badly because I wanted to say I didn't know. But I'd lie if I said I didn't know now because I read what you guys did. That's what I do after, but, so that's all I have to say. So you guys know where I'm at and why I'm where I'm at. And I hope you see it's with
All right,
a good heart.
David,
No, I don't have.
all right.
I'm.
Mr. Parker, anything else?
Where I'm at with all of them, I kind of feel like I'm,
I don't know where you're at, Dave.
well, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
So this is the one time where it's not a real easy, obvious answer.
Right.
All right. Mr. Parker, anything else you want to add to the
So
mix?
what's staff recommendation? This ought to be good.
Staff recommendation, I think both firms are qualified and more than capable, and
Let the
with the
commission.
qualifications being equal or comparable, I would go with Thrasher Group due to the cost. I would not consider the lower estimate submitted by CEC. My opinion, I think that would be unfair to the other firms unless you give them the same. And
So I reckon what I'm hearing, Mr. Parker, is you're not making a recommendation. You're saying that's a commission responsibility?
Thrasher Group would be the staff's recommendation,
Lower price.
Okay.
based on everything that I've looked at.
All right, what's pleasure to commission?
Accept the recommendation.
All right, so we have a motion for Thrasher. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I apologize to my good friends that work for CEC.
I do too. I'm terrible right now. I don't.
Happens every day. We compete, and we're grateful to have a lot of talented employees and, the benefits of living here in this area and the opportunities. We're just grateful to be here, and we're still here. We're not going anywhere, so.
Normally it's a lot easier because there's just bigger spread.
All right, item 12, review, discuss, consider grant agreement with Appalachian HIDTA.
This is a continuation of a grant, as I understand it. Sheriff, if he's still on there, may have comments to make, but this requires the signature of the president. It's just over $40,000, just under $41,000 in the grant award.
All right. We have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All right, item 13, review, discuss, and consider appointment procedures process for upcoming opening in the office of county clerk to the county commission. Mr. Hinkle, I think you asked for this to be put on there.
I did. I'm still a little confused. I would like to see this commission take time to, the future commission take time to appoint this vacancy and allow people to present cause to why maybe they deserve the job and just not make one. Because somebody thinks they should be the next person in line. So today I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Watson for 30 days while this new commission takes information in to determine who the new county clerk will be voted on by the commission.
Just as a point of clarification, that's pending a letter of
resignation.
We gotta be careful right now, and and to protect Ron, I don't know that he should even be in the room right now.
I was getting ready to say that,
Yeah, I gotta tell you, we gotta protect.
Commissioner Watson should recuse himself and leave the room,
Yeah.
would be my recommendation.
Mine too.
Well, I can do that unless, yeah, I think I should. I mean, David, I appreciate that. I just threw myself out there as an opportunity to help the next commission coming in. But, I mean, I understand how appointments are made. So if you guys don't want to discuss it, I mean, that's fine, but I will recuse myself until you holler for me to come back in.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And just for the record, probably should note that Commissioner Watson left the room during this recusal.
So, any discussion on the motion? Patsy?
No, is this a moot issue until there's a vacancy?
Well, as I understand the motion is to appoint Mr. Watson pending receipt of a letter of resignation. If that wasn't received, and for whatever reason, then that would, then the motion would be moot. But once that letter would be received, at that point, Mr. Watson would be appointed a temporary clerk of the county commission for up to a 30-day period.
I thought this is why you and I talked and you coached me well, that there would have to be a special meeting in January.
There still probably needs to be a special, depends on what the commission moves forward. I wasn't thinking temporary appointment necessarily when we had that discussion, but you can make a temporary appointment for up to a 30-day period, which, however the commission would like to proceed, allows for, letters to be sent from other individuals. You could schedule appointments with other individuals, or you could just make an appointment first part of January.
Well, letters are sent to us every day on everything, so send in all the letters you want, and right now it's a moot issue.
But it is an upcoming vacancy.
But until, if I pass away, there's an open vacancy tomorrow. So
I understand.
We'll worry about that when we get there. Let's cross that bridge when we get there.
That's how I understand the motion.
Well, what it is just to have somebody to handle the interim while we make the decision, give people the option to present why they should have the job to the three of us, not to one of us, or we should all have that ability to make that pitch to each other's commissioner on why we think somebody would be qualified for the job. That's my motion. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. All in favor? All opposed?
No.
Motion doesn't carry. Bring Ron back in.
That will require, in my opinion, a special meeting on Monday, January 4th.
I thought we agreed with that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if people are going to be in town, but we will have to have a meeting, either whether it's a temporary appointment at that time or a permanent appointment. We'll need to have a meeting at 9 o'clock, January the 4th.
And we can have a meeting as soon as there's an opening.
Correct.
Okay.
If it's before that time.
Can this commission determine what commission meetings are the next year?
No, you cannot. That would be an organizational meeting.
It takes the new commissioners next year to determine the first commission meeting on this commission.
That would be correct.
So we do not have a meeting on January the 4th or 6th
We will.
until the three commissioners agreed to a meeting date.
We will have,
You agree? On the fourth.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I said we can't agree until the fourth.
You can establish a meeting date outside of an open meeting requirement. So you can't discuss anything about actions, but you can establish a meeting date outside the open meetings requirements, whether it be January 4th, 5th, 6th,
Do
30th.
that right now?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so to follow David's lead, that January 4th, there's gonna be a meeting.
You could always put a special meeting, I think.
I think this is.
That would be a special meeting, yes.
Correct.
And that would establish,
That would be our organizational meeting. I would have the organizational items.
Right.
Because the first meeting in January, under the statutes, the county commission is to consider that their organizational meeting.
and you can still pay bills, et cetera, right?
Yes, yeah, I mean,
Okay, organizational motion to have an organizational meeting on January 4th.
No.
Okay.
Did you all agree on the 4th? I can't participate. No.
When would you like the first meeting to be, David? I'll go with it.
I'm gonna say, I guess the sixth would be the earliest, that I would say, if we're gonna, it's an organizational meeting. Give the time for everybody to get everything squared around that they wanna bring to the meeting.
just so you'll be aware, I did discuss some contingencies with our legal counsel. It would be my opinion, the office of, unless there's no resignation, I don't foresee that, but, and if there is no clerk of the county commission, I do not believe that office can open and be functioning.
Okay.
That was legal counsel's opinion. So it would depend on the resignation date of whether it could or could not be open. Not to put pressure on anybody. It's
You're
just the
not
way
going
it
to,
is.
so
Yeah, it's just the way
I don't
it
care what
is.
you
Yeah,
say.
it's the fact,
I'm
yeah.
gonna do it when I'm ready.
Yeah.
I don't have any cards. So.
Neither do I. I just,
Okay, we're good.
all my cards are there on the table. Read them. That's what I got.
Okay.
So unless I hear otherwise, we'll plan on January the 6th at 10 o'clock.
Now, since Ron is an active commissioner, could he have voted on the January 4th if he'd wanted that?
I do not believe so as it relates to the
Okay.
ongoing matter.
Okay. All right.
That would be my opinion.
Right. That's my opinion too.
Okay.
All right. So you guys got that item taken care of. Is that correct, Mr. Parker?
To the best of our ability at the moment.
Okay. All right. Item 14 then. Review, discuss, consider administrative order rescheduling rule to show cause hearing at 9 a.m. on December 15th, 2020. Mr. Parker.
I included in the packet administrative order issued by the circuit court. All three judges have signed this order. It's dated November 23rd. And we just recently received that. Our legal counsel also received this order. Patrick Henry III received this. He's working on a response. I have not seen that yet for the 15th hearing, but we do have the Microsoft Teams or whatever the proper name is, a hearing before Judge Matish at 9 a.m. on December the 15th.
Really, we don't need to spend money on legal counsel on this. This is nothing. I don't, motion not to have legal counsel. We're fine. We can defend ourselves. What do we need it for?
I would not recommend that at all.
Why?
We have legal counsel ongoing in this case. It would be my opinion to have legal counsel, and as I understand, the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney recommended outside legal counsel back when we started, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Can he Zoom it and not charge us travel?
Yes, he'll be on via Microsoft Teams, yes. Yes, it'll just be his actual time.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, I'd like to request that Mr. Henry asks for a continuance after January 1 or January 6, when the
Okay.
new commission will be sitting.
I'll relay that to him.
I mean, my input is little or nothing at this point with 15 days left.
I agree with Ron, and I prefer if he's gonna do something, it's just to, either file for extension, or I preferably just file to have this dismissed.
Yeah.
And if he's not, and if they don't want to dismiss it, then I want him to take it to the Supreme Court for dismissal. This is beyond, and I have no problem with the judges, but as far as I'm concerned, this is on the verge of, something that I probably shouldn't say, but it's going beyond ridiculous. This room's been ready for what, over a year?
It was April of 2019, yeah.
So, year and a half. I don't think it's fair to this commission to have to sit under this kind of an order. We take care of the courthouse, we supplied an office. We did everything that was required by us as guardians of the courthouse. So I would just ask that Mr. Henry file for dismissal. And I think that this commission's been very cooperative as far as that office goes.
All right. Mr. Parker, any other action need to be taken on that?
No, sir. I'll relay that to our legal counsel, and part of the issue is that, in his, I mean, normal procedure is there's a case assigned and you file according to the case number, and there's never been a case number assigned to this situation. It's just sort of fly off the cuff type situation.
All right, item 15, review, discuss, consider improvements performed at Shinston Rail Trail on property owned by private individual or firms. Mr. Hinkle.
I know we went down, worked on the rail trail, and I haven't been able to determine whether we worked on the rail trail owned by the city or by a private individual.
My knowledge, according to the tax maps, let me specify that. According to the tax maps, it would appear to be owned by a private firm. On the part that goes underneath Route 19 along the river to the Shinston plant there along the river. And then the rail authority picks up, there's a gate there, and the rail authority picks up ownership at that area.
What,
Proceeds to
towards Marion County?
And then proceeds to Marion County, yes.
And is Marion County the, quote, property owner on paper?
They're responsible, they take care of maintenance and responsibility for that area, as I understand it, yes.
So they must have some sort of lease agreement or something with the state?
With the state, it's from the plant, the gate there at the plant. Back underneath Route 19, that's owned by a private firm. And Mr. Dale did submit some cost estimates, which I forwarded to the commission based on the hours we had there, as well as some equipment. Those cost estimates didn't include payroll overhead of approximately 25%. That was just the hourly rates for the, I think there were 2 individuals that worked in that area for 7 or 8 days.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we've, with all due respect, we've tried to improve our rail system regardless of what property owners we work with and what ones we haven't. Don't we have some precedents that has already been established, Mr. Park?
Off the top of my head, I don't, to my immediate knowledge or recollection, I don't know any work that we've performed on the rail trail that has been owned by a private individual or firm. I think either it's been owned by
City or
the
county.
city or county or the rail authority or a governmental agency.
All right. Okay, where you want to go with it?
Well, I just want to make sure that we weren't spending money on private individual's property. If so, then private individual needs to
You know, David's right. And when we go-
reimburse us and.
Maybe what we ought to,
City.
Well, what we really need to do is,
maybe what should happen then if that's
Within
the
agreement.
yeah,
if that's the case, is to have the assessor's office see if there's any improvements that increases the value of that property, therefore increases taxes.
If it's agreeable to the commission, I'll ask our planning department staff to contact the individual to see if we could work out a MOU or for agreement for usage.
and maintain it from now on. I mean, hundreds of people are on that trail every,
But
Yeah.
see, that's the issue is that people think that it's our trail. And something happens, our insurance isn't covering that. We're on the regular rail trail where we own, our umbrella covers that. So people are making the assumption that that's an open rail trail that's either owned by the city of Shinston or by the Harrison County, and it's not.
I think it is City of Shinston, isn't it, that has that?
you know, I'm confused by it because they got a $250,000 grant awarded to them. So I'm so confused on the Marion County thing and how Shinston would get a grant in Marion County. But I do think really the step is not reinvent the wheel, figure out how Monongalia and Marion Blacktop and Ritchie and Doddridge gravel and Wood Blacktop, because we're the weak link. We gotta find out what the agreements they did, because they went through private property too.
It's just a matter of having an agreement on private, to make improvements on private property. That way you're covered with expenditures, but you're also covered with liability coverage.
Let's move on it, because this is an important part of the rail trail right there, because the rail head is the Walgreens. And you can go clear to the Pennsylvania line starting there. And it's a great thing for us because of commerce. I mean, Thursday was the virtual turkey trot because it was canceled. And there were license plates from Illinois and Florida, and we've got to get this worked out because but we've got to find out where the others are, because we got to work those agreements out, whether it's an individual or First Energy with the railroad, because this is going to continue to go.
Right now, anything from Spelter north is owned by private firms, private individuals or firms until city of Shinston.
Find out from Sinelli how they did it, because theirs is awesome.
I do recall several years ago, we were asked to support the town of Shinston, city of Shinston. There must have been a big washout or something over there. But I don't know where Shinston's trail starts, where their ownership starts. But I'm assuming they go to whatever that sewer plant is there, and then Marion County takes over from there. And we're trying to get from, let's say, Northview to Shinston. To Shinston, and
Then we
there's,
have the bridge problem, and then, but until we get the rest of it connected, we don't have to worry about the
Right.
bridge.
and then when Clarksburg took the bridge out that goes over Route 50, that was going to be connecting the south end with the north end, Patsy, but I don't know how you get from Anchor Hawking now to Northview.
Streets.
You'd have to use city streets.
City streets.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a lot
Anyway.
cheaper to paint lines on the road than build a bridge.
Are we okay with that item, Mr. Parker?
I'll move forward and
Okay.
working with the planning department and the city of Shinston and get attempt to get an MOU in place.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. And while we're talking about trails, Patsy, just so that you know,
Friday.
down my way,
Merry Christmas.
down my way,
Merry
they
Christmas.
recently started on putting the cables down the center of the trails from, I reckon, from Clarksburg. So they're punching those, where it looks like there's 3 lines about yay big that's going under there. And I found out about it when I looked out my window the other day, and then last evening got calls from people at Lost Creek want to know what's going on. But somebody needs to make sure that the contractor that's doing that puts those white posts and anything else that has been disruptive back on there. And Mr. Parker, you need to let the mayor of Lost Creek, so that they can publish it on their webpage, what's going on, because they're sitting right at the Route 25 right now and Horizon Church, moving that way, and people are calling and no one knows. What's the name of the company?
Zayo is the name of the firm that's, I'm not sure of the construction company, but I'll have to find out. I don't know who the
But that's
contractor.
the agreement that we have.
Agreement
so
we
that
have
they
is
know
with
it's
Zayo.
coming from somewhere in Ohio and going to where?
Virginia or something, I'm not sure.
Virginia. It's going to be interesting to see how they get across that gigantic trestle down there and into private property when they get into Lewis County. All right, just make sure the town of Lost Creek gets that information.
We can do that.
And Patsy, when you go visit, I'm sure that's what whatever his name is.
Stop.
Yeah, on Friday when you go see
Yeah, and,
Stutler.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's four-wheel drive he saw going down through there.
Is that area not a place that Willie had cameras put up?
Gary
Gary
Stutler.
We do have some cameras. I'm not sure where they're located, but in that area, but
I would love to give Sheriff Matheny a tape of somebody vandalizing us.
okay.
Yeah. I'd like to see equipment confiscated, have to pay, get your equipment out of jail.
I'd love to see a cruiser pull up to their house.
Yeah. All right, with that, where in the heck am I?
Item 16, Mr. President.
Item 16, review, discuss extending the second amended and restated option to the purchase real property between the Harrison County Development Authority, Harrison County Commission, and Authority and ESC Harrison County Power Plant. Mr. Parker, I'm familiar with it, but why don't you go ahead, and we have till the end of this month, unless we extend that option, right?
That's correct, Mr. President. The current option expires at the end of December of 2020. There's been a request made from the ESC Harrison County Power LLC to extend that option to December 31st, 2021. One of the things that I requested to be in that agreement on behalf of the Commission and Development Authority would be a 90-day notice, an out clause, or to terminate the option in favor of the County Commission and or the Development Authority. The Development Authority scheduled a meeting Friday. This is one of the topics they'll be taking up also, assuming the Commission would extend. The County Commission has an option with the Development Authority, and then the Development Authority has the option with
This is our
ESC.
recommendation to the Development Authority.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, just motion to extend through December 31, 2021.
If the Development Authority,
All right,
And that includes the 90-day out or notice termination
all right.
in favor of the Commission and or Development Authority.
Any further discussion? So my discussion would be, I'm making the assumption that the project is not dead. It's still alive. The one in the northern part of the state was terminated, but we're still on the table. Is that correct, Mr. Parker?
That's my understanding with discussions with Mr. Curtis Wilkerson.
Wouldn't that be great? 300 union jobs to build the plant for about 3 years going. And then after that, having about, I don't know, 40 or 50 good paying jobs to run the plant. So let's hope that it becomes a reality. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, item 17, review, discuss, and consider clarification of action last week on transfer of sick leave from previous employer. Mr. Parker, you're doing a maximum of 480 hours, which is 60 days from the most recent previous employer, not more than one employer, enrolled as a member of the plan governed by the Consolidated Public Retirement Board.
Yeah, based on some questions we had this week, I'd made some assumptions, but the detail needs to catch up with those assumptions, because some of our employees may have worked for more than one employer in the past that had, that was enrolled in the Consolidated Public Retirement Board. If the commission approves, the risk recommendation is a maximum of 480 hours, up to 480 hours, 60 days from one, the most recent employer. For example, if you had 500 hours from employer XYZ, then you moved to employer ABC and had 20 hours, you'd be eligible for 20 hours, not 480. It's from the most recent employer that's a member or had a plan governed by the Consolidated Public Retirement Board.
Right.
Because some cities out there are not members of the Consolidated Public Retirement Boards, for example.
What we're doing is correcting the motion. And
The way I understood the intent.
the intent was from one employer, but I didn't say recent employer. And so we've had some people want to add up all the places they worked.
All right.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this, Dave. Are we gonna do this for everybody?
Yeah, it's everybody that works here in the courthouse. That's what we said we voted on last week, but the issue was, it's that the way, and I apologize for the way I worded it, but it was 60 days, and I said from employer, and we had some people decided that they had that counted for this employer, that employer, that employer, that employer.
It was
So
so
they
their last.
came back and had 300 days.
But can Becky, for example, you get she worked at a bank, can she get her sick leave from the bank up to 60?
No,
No, it has to be somebody who was on.
has to be a member of the Consolidated Public Retirement Board.
What about? But isn't that discrimination?
No, it's a benefit that continues from enrollment in the Consolidated Public Retirement Board. I think they would have concerns of a county commission awarding a liability that was not incurred under one of their
Concerns about
programs.
this too. What if, benefits aren't a requirement? What if somebody didn't get any benefits? And they're just out?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Say you weren't offered them in your other job. You just don't have anything to carry on.
Oh, if you work for a county or city, there are some counties that have no benefits.
Right.
They're required to be a member of the retirement board, but they may not have vacation or sick leave or medical insurance. You're just out.
Okay, let me ask you this. A young lady works for the Exponent. She makes X amount of dollars, throwing a number out, $2 an hour. She goes to Detroit Free Press, she makes $50 an hour. Are we gonna give her the hours based on 50 or the hours based on $2, what she earned?
That's why there's a maximum of 480 hours or 60 days to alleviate that
I
spiking.
understand, but what is she gonna get paid? Because she just picked up 60 extra days to take if she gets sick, right?
Okay.
So now when she gets sick, are we gonna pay her $2 an hour for those 60
No,
extra?
you
hours?
pay your current, you pay your current
Then we
wage.
let the other county off the hook.
Correct, yeah.
We're picking up the other county's tab, and we just gave her, guys,
Yeah,
you're touching shaky ground right now.
But-
For one thing, this isn't in the budget, David.
It
This is
is.
not a line item in the budget.
yes, it is. It's the salaries are in the budget.
Salaries are in the budget. You're
But
not
the extra
changing that.
60 days are not.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're there.
They're there. If I take 60 days of sick leave, or if Johnny takes 60 days of sick leave right now, it's in the budget.
But you also understand sick leave is use it or lose it, right?
You can accrue.
Up to,
We have no cap on our accrual of sick leave for the Harrison County.
None. Never has been. So I mean, you're not changing
Days for your
anything.
retirement.
But it's, we'll pick on Johnny since we're picking on Johnny. You know, Johnny's salary is in the budget at X number of dollars. That salary covers regular hours worked, vacation hours worked, sick time worked, bereavement leave, military, jury duty, COVID right now, whatever.
I'm following you, Billy.
But,
It's not changing.
so the only additional expense is if Johnny is off for 60 days, would we hire somebody to replace Johnny for 60 days? Probably not. Brian and Charlie'd be working more.
So say Johnny's out of sick leave right now, or Charlie's out of sick leave right now. Charlie gets an extra 60 days right now that he never earned here because he works someplace else at potentially a lower wage.
Correct.
Wow.
But the budget is based on the current wage, so there's no financial impact unless you go out and fill the position. And for a 60-day time period, by the time you'd advertise and take applications and get approval, that 60 days is over.
And if I worked for Slickers and went to Hinkle Brothers, David Judah took my sick leave.
No, because it's not the same program. It's just like a teacher going from one county to another county, or teachers coming in from other states. They transfer that stuff all the time. I mean,
But you also understand, we don't ask people to come work here, they apply. I mean, we're not, with every place, and I mean, we love because we don't have to pay their schooling for an officer to transfer in it. But we don't ask him to.
We do give a $5,000 kick in that situation.
All right, guys. Motion on the floor.
we approved it last week. It's just a matter of this, is we just had to change the word recent previous employer than any employer.
Okay.
And see, Patsy, we're in the retirement system as elected officials, but we accrue no vacation, no sick leave. So we get zilch.
I also know I couldn't have brought my Frontier days with me, Eddie Braun.
You could?
I could not have.
No, you're right. You're right.
This doesn't happen, which we're doing right now.
Not unless it's the same plan.
Would
There are-
be same retirement.
Yeah, it's just, it's programs administered by the Consolidated Retirement Board.
Right.
But we're paying into retirement for those days as well, correct?
Yeah.
We've paid into retirement for those days, correct? The county, Harrison.
I'm not sure I
If
understand.
they use those towards their retirement. That's
Oh, if they
sick days
use them
for-
towards the
for credit.
retirement, for retirement service credit, the county has no additional expense for
But
retirement
we've
service.
already paid so much retirement.
Oh, yeah, we've faced, on, again, picking on Johnny, of, 2,080 hours, whatever that 2,080 hours breaks down, we have a 10%, in this situation, 10% factor for the salary for the retirement board.
I admit, the last time I heard something this good, it was manna from heaven. That's how good this is. I mean, you two have voted on something incredibly generous.
It's just like some other benefits that we give our employees with dental and vision. That's all free to them. A lot of other counties and cities, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So
That's what I mean. They come here because we have better. We don't, or they would stay where they're at.
that's the reason why the sheriff doesn't have a lot of people that's leaving his rank and file.
Okay.
He
All right.
does good.
What's next, Ron?
All right. Motion to make the adjustment. David?
Yeah,
All right.
motion to make most recent
Okay.
previous employer,
Okay.
not more than one employer.
And mark me down as a note.
The edit. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That takes us down to commissioners' commissioners' comment. Patsy?
Just that I saw where we were gonna get another server, and Willie and I have talked about this, for over at Corrections. We've replaced companies, fiber optic cable, and this would be our third. Let's get somebody in there. Matter of fact, take it out of Shirley's hands, give it to Corrections to handle, and just call whoever their provider is and have them come tell us what the problem is.
All right, yeah, we're looking at changing switches again.
Yeah, we've already done that twice.
Okay.
And so let's find out if it's something more that we're not seeing. And our guys are just IT guys. Anything, did we get a Facebook page?
I have not talked to Mr. Pizzino about that. He's expressed an interest and has those capabilities, so I'm going to talk to Mr. Pizzino about doing that.
Here, let me handle that for you right now. Hey, Elizabeth?
What, I think Mike's on
Is
there.
Elizabeth on there?
Unmute yourself, Elizabeth, if you are. If not, Mr. Pizzino could.
Hey, Elizabeth, if you can hear me, hey, listen, I don't want you to be in charge of it, but I need you to give IT 4 minutes of your time the next time we're at the courthouse and get us a Facebook page, please. Go through Mr. Parker for whatever direction he wants to forward you to. That's done.
All right.
And,
She's up there.
yeah, she's up there. I don't want her in charge of it. I just want her to build it, and it really will take 5 minutes. And that's all I have.
All right, David.
Well, that's one of the things I was gonna bring up was the lack of Facebook page.
Can I,
Yes, ma'am.
for any work that I've ever done with nonprofits and fundraising and all of that, there's companies that I would suggest going through. Luke Nestler is a local guy, and I know he does it with impact marketing. If you really want to get the most impact out of it, you probably should hire a firm or develop a marketing arm within the commission, because that they're going to hone in on clicks, visibility, regional impact to get the most out of the Facebook page. You probably don't want to just do something grassroots in-house. You probably want to consult a firm on that. I work with Luke. He's a Clarksburg guy. I worked with him in my previous life. We've worked with him with Senator Manchin. So just throwing that out there, if a social media presence is important to this commission.
All right. David, further?
But whatever we can do to get social media for this commission and get out what we're doing, the more than your issue with the rail trail, that I think with Patsy agree, if we had Facebook, and I think people check it, that would have helped cure some of that problems and some of the other stuff that.
We'll work with administrative staff, all administrative staff, have something put together before the first of the year.
Really, she could do it in 5 minutes. I know what she's saying, and she's 100% right. But right now, let's just get something that next Wednesday, the 16th, David and I are answering the same question, because she can do it that fast.
All right.
I know every hit Elizabeth Sutton had in baseball this year because of Facebook. She can do it for us.
Okay. Any others? David?
No.
Patsy, last comment?
No, sure.
I have none either. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank everybody on Zoom for tuning in. Tune in next week
I need
when we have
signatures.
the ugly sweater day. Is that what it is?
Go there and in.
I'm either gonna borrow one of David's or go buy one.
Just in.